Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching us from. Thank you so much for being part of this growing family beyond the noise with Sam. So, on this platform, just so you know, I normally share my experience being born and raised in Africa. Now, I'm studying here in the United States and I'm staying here in the United States. So, I like sharing my experience both in Africa and here in the States, trying to compare the two lives or the two way of living today's episode. Remember, I told you I'll share with you how we are raised in Africa, or how kids are raised in Africa, or how a child is raised in Africa. If you're joining us for the first time, thank you so much for subscribing. Tell us where you're watching us from. Give us your opinion, what you think about the topics that I normally share on this platform. Share, like, comment, invite family members, invite friends. And just so you know, I normally do these episodes, I normally say no pressure. Yeah, no pressure. Yeah, feel free to tell us what you think about different topics. So, on today's episodes, I'm going to share with you on how kids or how we were raised in Africa. Yeah, it's so different. I'm not going to compare. I'm not going to compare, but from what I'm going to be sharing, you can look at it and then you know whether it was how kids are raised in Africa is the same on how kids are raised here. I've never raised any kid here, so I can't share that experience of how kids are raised here, but I can share the experience of how kids are raised in Africa. Because one of my friends was asking me how we are raised in Africa, how it was when we were growing up. Like, was it a farm? Was it like a big family? It depends. So, I was just so you know, if you're watching it for the first time, I was born and raised in East Africa, specifically a country called Uganda. Uganda is in Africa. Just so you know, also Africa is a continent. Some people always call it a dark continent. Yeah, and then also just so you know, I've been here in the States for 3 years. So most of my entire life I've been in Africa, and I've been raised and grown from Africa. Yeah, it's not easy to compare the two lives or to be within the two lives, but it's quite different. It's a shocking thing. It's a lot of learning and relearning because the two lives are totally different. So it's not the same where we come from. Trust me. Just take you back to different episodes I've been sharing. Some of my challenging things in whenever I've been in the States is food, and also the community is different. Push that back on the side. Let us go on how kids are raised in Africa. So in Africa, like Africa, trust me, besides the Middle East, uh, other countries of Africa like Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, and other parts of Africa, trust me, kids are raised the same. We were raised the same. Like, if you realize it's so easy for somebody from Africa when he or she meets with somebody who is also from Africa, it's easy for them to meet and discuss because they were raised in the same way. So when you're raised in Africa, there are some things that your family or your community or the people around you contribute a lot, that in the way that the two will help you grow up, how to interact with the community, and then also how you see others treat others. So being raised and born in Africa or in specifically Uganda, so we have a thing where they say a child belongs to the community. A child belongs to the community. What does that mean? It means if you give birth to maybe a boy or a girl, and this child does anything wrong, so this child can be disciplined by anyone within the community as long as that person is older than that child. And the child does something wrong and this person is watching, can discipline that child. right? So that's why the saying is a child belongs to the community. In my local language, you will say omwana akuzibwa society oba bamwetoolodde. And on the other side, I agree with it because I don't know if it's wrong or right, but take for example, if you if you move when you're not wearing a shirt and somebody elder finds you and tells you, hey, go back home and wear a shirt. So he or she has told you to go back home and wear a shirt. But then if you insist and continue going, or if the person again meets you in a different corner and tells you, hey, why don't you wear a shirt or why didn't you wear a shirt? Trust me, it will be you feel the consequences. This person will either tell your mom or your dad, this person will either discipline you or walk with you to your parents and then tell them, hey, your child has done this wrong, and then trust me, at one point they're going to put you down and cane you. So the child in Africa, Uganda, belongs to the community. So the community disciplines the child because the community grew a child. And then if you have a child and then you have neighbors, and these neighbors, maybe their kids are not there, or like there's nobody to send to buy something from the shop. Uh, Trust me, this neighbor of yours is going to call your child and give and tell your child to go buy for him or her something from the shop. So they'll give your child money to go and buy something from the shop, even if like fetching water, like because in Africa it's not like hey, everyone has access to clean water and everything. They are what we call jail cans, so we normally move with jail cans, and then it's different. Yeah. So the child belongs to the community. That's why also the saying the child belongs to the community. Like when you give birth, you've given birth to a child who belongs to the community. The community is responsible to grow this child. So your child will be sent to go fetch water, do other activities. And then also if a child is growing, if the child is having any issue, and then the person who is staying within the community and finds this child, he or she has a responsibility to give this child a hand. Maybe when he's carrying something heavy, maybe he's doing something that is too much for him or her. The person in the community will give support to this child because at the end of the day, he's a kid and then needs support. So the child where you come from belongs to the community, and then the community loves kids. Like our communities love kids. I know, like every community loves kids. Every community loves kids. Like any growing child is always loved, and people would like to be part of their lives. And then now, if you go in village area, there are some things that you will face, and then there are some things that you will get within the community. And then also, when you start schooling, where we grew up from, like trust me, in primary, even in secondary, they will lie you down and give you strokes. You know, like beating in Africa is normal. Like, oh, but we're beating at school, like no man's business. So I remember one time we had teachers, so we used to do mathematics, and then I think it used to be common in very many schools where they cane you number by number. So number by number means every number you fail is a stroke. So if you did like a 50 or 25 exam, 25, 25 numbers of mathematics, and these were so the mathematics used to give us like 2.5 hours for you to complete that exam, and then when that teacher sits down and marks all your exams, and then you you have failed around if if there were 50 numbers, and then every number carries 2 marks, so total up of 100 marks. So if you have failed like if you get like 40 out of 100, so every number that you failed in that paper uh, is the stroke that you're going to get, or is the cane that you're going to get. You're going to be beaten number by number. Every number you failed, they will call you in front and they cane you in front of the class. So it is it I know here people will say that's torture. Yeah, yeah, it's torture like you hear, but it's not. When we were growing, it wasn't torture, and it's still happening. Yeah, it's still happening in some local schools. I don't think international schools treat their kids like that, but trust me, the schools I went to, that used to be common, and it's not news. Two, when you are in school and then the teacher is passing by, even if he's not the one responsible for that class or he's not supposed to be in that class, and you guys are making noise, he or she can come to that class and then ask who is making noise, and then he can beat the entire class. Everyone go down 2-2 or 3-3, depending on the mood that teacher is into. So it's not easy raising a child in Africa, being born in Africa. And then also, so I'm giving you the life now from how the child is being in the community, and now I'm taking you to school. So a child in Africa is like you grow up when beating and also caning or like saying some things is not new. Then you get to school and then there's some punishment. So if you maybe you have done something wrong, maybe they found you guys fighting or you're misbehaving, they can give you punishment and say go clean the entire school toilets. So you go and start cleaning the toilets for the school. So it's and then also when a child like a child can't do some things in a community, and let me say for example, if you do something wrong, your parent can take you to one of the community leaders. If your parent can't beat you, and then the community leader will beat you up. Yeah, it used to be very common. I'll give you a story after this. So when you get to school and then you start schooling, trust me, the teacher will. So there's some parents who say, "I've handed you over to this teacher," meaning that teacher is responsible for you the time you are in school. Most of the time, those teachers used to say, "I'm going to beat you up because your parents handed you over to me." So a parent can hand you over, handing you over to this teacher. Now in the school, you act. This teacher is going to act like your parent. He or she will beat you. If you do anything wrong, they'll call this teacher and be like, "Hey, this child who was handed over to you, he or she has done this." So it's not easy being born and raised in Africa. And then I remember in our community, I was born and raised in Uganda. Just so you know, if you're watching it for the first time, hit the bell button and then also subscribe, like, comment, share, and comment. Invite family members, invite friends, and then be part of the shows. Thank you so much for watching and being part of this growing family. No pressure. So, also, on today's episode, I'm sharing how a child or kids are being raised in Africa. And then also, so if a child goes to school and then you have to pay school fees, like in Africa, we pay what we call school fees. Uh, Depending on the rates of the school, that's how much you pay. And then they check school fees anytime. They can tell you to go back home because you haven't paid school fees. It happens, and it's life. So I remember in the community I was growing in, I grew up into. I was raised and born in Uganda in a place called Chitintale, but I still also lived in different couple of areas within the country. So I remember there was this family, so they were told, oh, the parents couldn't beat their kids because they were a bit old and they didn't want to stress themselves out. So they found the kids playing cards, and then the parents called leaders in the community, and then they they came, they spoke with the kids, and then they had to give them strokes every morning. These kids had to go to police, and every kid had to get 5 strokes every morning before they go to school. And it was a must for like, I think it was like 2 weeks or a month, like every day. Every day, those are 5 days within the week because they don't school. over the weekend unless when you're in candid classes. So every day they had to report themselves to police, and then they had to get 5 strokes before they go to police. And they do the same the following day. In the morning, you go get your 5 strokes and proceed to school. So your parent can do that. And parents used to do that. So it's so difficult and not easy. Uh, we grew up climbing trees. Yeah, I've not seen anyone climbing trees. I think people are so careful here, and they take like they always like everything. There's always consequences, and for the trees I've seen here, they're not good or easy to climb. At least for the ones I've seen, it's hard for you to climb them. But kids in my country, we grew up climbing trees. Yeah, we grew up climbing trees, and then when we were taken to the village, wow. So one time they took me to this village. My dad gave me to my one of my sister, and she was staying in I think what place was called Mubende, and she was staying deep in the village. So I reached there, and the environment was crazy. They had no electricity. Yes, like in our family, by the time we never had electricity, but at least neighbors had electricity. There's that kind of life. And so when I reached there, I was raised in town. I grew up in town. Like however much our mom never had money, but there's no day we could take tea without sugar. So I reached this village, and guys were taking tea without sugar. I'd never experienced that life. So what happened? We reached there in the evening. So when we reached, I went to shower. After showering, like it's not like the shower you go and open water. Like no, you get. So we have what called basins in the local language called the bafu, then jerry cans or budomola. So you pour water into your base, and then you go in the bathroom and take a shower or and take a bath. Actually, it's supposed to be a bath, not a shower. Shower is when water is flowing through your head. So I reached there, and then the, this family, it wasn't a very big family. So my first time there, we had to sit down and eat food. I normally tell, at least people who are close to me, I normally tell them the story. So we reached there, and then I felt like there was some kind of dictatorship. So I grew up with my mom. Like before I went there, our mom treated everyone equal. Like we are a bit more than the people I found in that family. Our mom treated everyone equal. Like anytime you want, you can do whatever you want as long as you be respectful. So I reached this family. So there was a table, and then down. So the man sits, has his chair, and then his table. And that table was his alone, not the wife, not anyone, any kid. So there was a table, and then there was one chair. So every evening, or every time we are going to eat dinner or lunch over the weekend, he would we would get food from the kitchen when after cooking, and then we would sit down. In the local language, it's called olujuliro. So we would sit down, and then before you serve yourselves, you have to serve that table because like you put the food there before even the guy comes. So you put the food there, and then you wait to start it. Then you serve yourselves, like the wife and then other people, the other kids. And then the you wait or you go and call him. Hey, we used to call him Muko. So Muko in my local language Muko is like the husband to your sister. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know how is Muko called in English. Ah, Muko, just take it, Muko. So, you go and call the guy. So the guy comes. He comes and then he sits. So he chooses who is going to pray and then says, "Hey, son, you're the one to pray for us in our local language." I'm just putting it in the English perspective. And then you would pray. So you start eating. So in that kind of setting, you don't leave, or after eating, you don't leave till when others are also done with eating. So my first time there, I never experienced that. My first time there, after eating, I felt like it's some new kind of life. Inside my head, it was even funny. So I sat down and I was like, okay, this is fun. I didn't know what was coming. So day one, I wash my hands, I start eating food, and then I'm like, I don't know if it was too much of kajanja and lugezi gezi. Those ones who know. So I, as we went to sleep, I asked one of the guy where we were. I was like, why does that guy sit up and we sit down? And then he was like, he's the man in the family, or he's the man of the home. It puzzled me. Also, that first day, so after eating me, when I finished eating, I stepped out, or I washed my hands and I stood up. Then day two, it was the same thing. So during day two, guess what this guy did? He said, before he even started eating, when he was called to come and sit on his table, so he said, "Hey Sam," in a local language. Yesterday, oh, you stood up when we were still eating. And I was like, yeah, because I was done with eating. And he was like, you don't do that here. Okay. I didn't ask why. And then he said, two, you don't start eating before I come. I didn't ask why. Three, it's him who chooses who pray. And then after eating, we have to thank him because he's the man in the house. Dude, that thing for the long time disturbed my mind. I was there for 2 years. But trust me, for the 2 years, I came to my normal senses. I started like going with the flow. Because if either what I was in this guy's home, so I felt like it was real dictatorship. So and then time reaches when you go to the farm to dig and do everything. So I'd never, I'd never in my entire life, I'd never been in the farm or in the garden, like digging or like doing stuff like that. So I reached there. So they gave me a hoe. So they give you a hoe, and then you go and they take you go together as a family, and then so these guys gave me my piece where I'm supposed to do farming or I'm supposed to dig, and then they will tell you you have to do it from here to there. Dude, these guys were doing it on a very terrible pace. I was so slow, and I'd never used this. I don't know how many times I have a lot of like scars like on my foot that every some of the time when I used to do it, I used to cut myself. Till when I became to when I till when I learned it, till when I learned to do it. So it's not so easy. It's so difficult. And then still within this community, so I started like going to school. So I went to this school was called Kagure CU. So CU is like Church of Uganda. Yeah. So the school I went to in that area is called Kagure. Yeah, it's in MPG. You go in. So the school was called Kagure. We're in primary school. So this dude, remember when I was still with my mom before I went here, we used to I was schooling from the barracks motion bay. We used to take taxis to go to school. Our taxis not the same taxis here, just so you know. Our taxis you sit in and it takes like 14 people. Yeah. So we we reached the school. I went and then they registered me. Only walking from where we are staying to where the school was, it was like 2 kilometers, two and a half, either 2 or 2 kilometers, because it was so far. And it had hills. Yeah, it had hills, and then it had some kind of like forests. Yeah. So we went. So they tell me, hey, we're taking you for registration. So if I can take you back, the time I was taken there, my dad told me your sister will bring you back home. Yeah, and yeah, they had a different agreement between him and my sister. So my sister told my dad where I'm taking him, or where we're staying. It's a good school. He can go to that school. It's a free school and everything. My dad told my mom there's a good school that is there and everything. Yeah, it was so crazy. I felt like I was even sold in simple terms. So they take me to this school. Day one, like we walked, and I even got tired. I had shoes like in my head, and then we walked. We went there. We reached this school. The school was big. They had a rural primary, and then they had secondary like high school here. So we reached there, and then guess what? I look at the schools. The lower primary classes didn't have furniture in them. It was so crazy, like real crazy. So I reached and then asked the guys, like, they registered us. We went in this one office. There was only one table, and then there was a lady who was registering us. So they asked me for my name. I gave them my name, and it didn't take long. They never even like moved me around the school. So day for coming to school started. There were a lot of kids who were coming from the community I was staying in, or the area I was staying in, to that school. So we would move, many of us, like going to that school. And then many kids were moving barefoot. Barefoot meaning they have no shoes in their feet. Dude, they they would walk, or we would walk. You have to be clean. Like you wake up in the morning, do the house chores. House chores. Tell you what house chores are later on. So, but house chores, let me break it down for you. House chores is like washing dishes, cleaning the house, and everything before you go to school. And then they will get a leaf, like a banana leaf, and then they'll put for you remaining food. Could be sweet potatoes, could be any kind of food. They'll put it for you in there, and then wrap it, and then tie it with a banana leaf fiber, and then tie it and then give it to you. So you eat during break or lunch, depending on what time you come back home. Dude, bro, this was so crazy. And every time, so that one, I had, remember, I came from town. I had shoes. I had my shoes. Don't forget that. So day one, I wake up in the morning. I prepare myself. I was so excited to go to this school. So the culture was every morning, not every morning, every Monday, used to have what we call a parade. And so common in Uganda, like every Monday, and I think either Fridays, in between the week, or Wednesdays in between the week, they normally have parades. But normally we used to have parades on Mondays. So we had a parade. So every morning we used a parade. Guess what? I stand there, almost like everyone in the school didn't have shoes apart from their teachers. It was so shocking. It was so shocking in the way that I had my friends, or the people I used to work with, I went with. look at me, and then they were like, "Hey, where did you get the shoes and everything?" You know, like kids always ask, like they be curious. So this head of could be like the principal here, could be like the school president. So the guy stood up on the school parade and said, "Hey, he was so polite. He told me not to come back with these shoes the following day. Yeah, he told me, hey, like, just so you know, don't come back with the shoes tomorrow, like, for if you're going to be schooling from here." I was so surprised. Yeah, I was so surprised. So the guy said, don't come back with the shoes. I was super surprised. So even when I went to class, so before I even like tell you what happened after, I go to class. Dude, I entered the class and there was no furniture. There were no desks to sit on. I'd never seen that. It was so crazy. It was my first time like experiencing that because I grew up in town and now they have been taken to rural area. So I remember one of the like I think our class teacher was called Madam Kusambiza. So she comes in class like everyone stood and then everyone greeted. So remember this was now opening up a new term. It's the first day. So guess what? When we are going back home, so she gave us the rules of the game. So she told us, "Hey, you, everyone is supposed to have like a match. It's called, but that match you can either come with a mat or anything else that you're going to use to sit on. So it's like a mat. You just put it down on the floor and you sit on it. And then everyone had to come with a board. So a board where you're going to be writing, not books, but boards. I'd never seen that because where I came from, we are writing in books and we are sitting on a desk and we are wearing shoes, almost the desk we are wearing shoes. So I was like, okay, this is strange and crazy. And then she tells us, everyone, please tomorrow, if you can, if you have cows, come with a cow dung. Cow dung is like cow poop. Yeah, the poop for the cow. You come with it. I had never seen or had that. So most of the kids knew what she was talking about. And I didn't come with a cow poop because we didn't have cows. Because she said if you have cows, so I never came with poop. When I went back home, I told my sister's husband, uh, "Hey, the teacher told me, this guy at school told me not to go back with shoes." And guess what the guy told me? Oh yeah, don't go with them. They never gave me any reason as why. I think just to fit into the community, bro. The following day, I had to leave my shoes home. Moving barefoot. So you wake up in the morning, prepare yourself, you wear your school uniform, you get Vaseline. You smear yourself with Vaseline and everything just to shine or to look good. Then you move, you go to school. Barefoot. By the time you reach at school, bro, you your foot is already like you step on stones, you step on all kinds of nonsense, you step on them on the way. But with time you get used to it. Trust me, I got used to it. I was there for good 2 years. So I was like, dude, this is so crazy. So day two, we reached there. I never went with a cow down because we never had cows. Then I reached there. I had a boat. They gave me a boat, and then, dude, this these guys knew what was going on. The family I was coming, I was staying with. My sister, by the time I went back home, she had already prepared for me mat. So it's called a mat. It's made out in Uganda. It's called akalago. Is it? I think akalago. Yeah, it's called akalago. So it's made out of like banana fibers, and then there's a way they do it. She had made one for me, meaning she knew what was going on. She gave it to me, and also she gave me a board. So you get a board, and then you get like from the fire, but the remaining pieces of firewood that been burnt. Let's call it siliza in the local language. You get that and go with it. The one that you use to write on that board. It was so funny. So what they used the cow dung for, I didn't know what was being used for, but many kids came with cow dung. So we reached there in the morning. It was a Tuesday. Now we have the parade. You go straight to your class. So immediately we reached to class, like the class was made in cow dung or cow poop. So the teacher comes, the same teacher, she tells us, hey, now we are going to smear the class with cow dung. So why they smear the class with cow dung? Very many kids had jiggers. Yeah, many kids had jiggers. You know what jiggers? So jigger is, you can Google it. It's called a jigger. So it can go in your skin. It's like you see how ticks looks like on a cow. So but for it, it goes inside your skin. It's called a jigger. I've gotten that before, so it's the weirdest thing. So I reached there. This we start smearing the class with cow dung, and then we had to leave. We had to go on the tree for like the entire day for this cow dung to dry into the class. So we smeared the class with cow dungs in all corners and everywhere. And the following day, we had to enter this class when it is dry. Bro, when it dries, it doesn't smell. I don't know the technique behind, but we smeared the class with cow dung. I was now like, you start fitting into the community or the society, and then it's like being brainwashed. I'm telling you, it's like being brainwashed. So I get into the class. Because I on Wednesday, that's day three, I came with my mind like I want to see what's happening. Then I that Madam Kurasambi is like the one who was running our class. She was super nice. She was very nice. So maybe I'd come from town. I would speak English, and what I didn't tell you, we used to study the local language, bro. In this life, before you die, never say you have seen it all. Never. So it's I go to this class. I met with the madam and I was like, oh, why would you read? You know, I grew like in that school. It was so funny. It was me and some other girl who could speak the national, who could sing the national anthem. Two people, me and some other girl. I think she also came from town, and I used to speak with her a lot. Though I think her family was a bit well off than my family where I was coming from. So, and guess what? For her, they never told her not to bring back the shoes. She had her shoes. I don't know whether the parents came and spoke with the teacher or not, but my guys did never came and talk with the guy. They just told me no, don't go with them. And every time we used to be in class, he, one teacher teaches you like the entire day because he's the one responsible for that class. Teaches you for the entire day. No changing teacher. See when you go to the next class after like a year. So that madam, like, she was super nice. She used to speak with me sometimes in English, because She was super nice, and she was a bit age. She was um, a senior. She was very nice, and so the community, it was okay for them. Now, when it comes to, so you go with your breakfast, they give you the remaining food from home, then you go with it. There's nothing like eating at school that wasn't there. So the school was, to me, when by the time I was there, it was okay for the standards. Yeah, that's what I can tell you. For the standards, it was okay. But the standards I was living in by that time, it was very okay. I was there for 2 good years, and then I ran away because we used to do a lot of things. So we used to go to the farm, we used to go fetch firewood. So firewood, you come carrying it on your head. You go in the forest, look for firewood, come back carrying it on your head. And then you go back, get food from the garden, come back carrying it on your head, put it at home, then you have to cook. So the norm used to be like, if you're not going to, if there is no school on that day, or if you're during the break, you would go in the farm and start farming or digging. So I think we had pigs and goats. We had mostly we had pigs. So we would, you go in the morning to the garden, the what you call farm. You go in the garden, do farming and everything. Then after at around like 11, coming to 12, you would stop and then like you have to dig the food that you're going to prepare now. You dig the food and then put it in the sack, and then you have to carry it on your head back home. Then you come back, go in the forest, get the firewood, bring it home. So after that, you reach home, you put the firewood into the fire and then make fire and everything. Then you start cooking. You start boiling water for tea. Like I said, there was no sugar. So what do you put in? The, bro, you put in some other stuff that you put in the local language called chisubi and mujaja, or any of the two that you put in. I don't know what it's called in English, but there are some other things you put in just to give you that flavor. But it was not tasty. Nice. And then you sit down and then eat the remaining food that you guys ate during dinner. And then you have to wait till like around either 7 or 6 something to eat food again. And then the side you do the same thing like over and over. It was so crazy. Now, what I didn't tell you, I grew up in town when I was growing before I went there. But these guys in their toilet, they had like leaves. In Uganda, it's called ebikokoma. If you have never used ebikokoma, you haven't experienced life. So those leaves, you find it's not a tree, but it is some kind of plant. It has a very big leaf, very big. And when you touch on this leaf, it's so smooth like a toilet paper. It's what we used to use in the toilet. After doing the activity, you get that leaf. It's so big, you either get two or one, then you fold it, and then you clean your ass. Yeah, I did that for those good 2 years. So I, I was so tired of staying there. My mom came and visited me once, but trust me, I was not okay. So she came and visited me once. She brought me a pair of shoes. It wasn't fitting me well, but still I couldn't use the shoes because I told her, I can't use the shoes because of ABCD. Yeah, and it was okay. And dude, that was funny. So this one morning I wake up, I go to the farm. I'm like, I'm not staying here. I walk away. So I walk away and then went up to the, the nearby town. Police caught me in the night, and then they took me to the police station. Like I told them where I come from. The good thing, I could speak English, though we're studying in Uganda in that school. I could speak English, and then I told them why I'm running away. And dude, the community, everyone knew each other. So when I went to police, what I didn't tell you, my sister's husband was a community leader, or was an LC. Bro, that guy, this is a very long story. Like, I don't want to prolong this video so much. I don't know if I will. I think I will do another episode. So, but just that guy used to be an LC. Uh, so LC is a leader in the community and very respectful, very respected. He was a very respected person in the community. So people would come and report cases to him. He would decide. He would report every weekend. So we had a very big tree inside the compound. His house was really nice. He had a very big tree and then had a small fence. And then we would clean the compound, and then the big tree used to throw out flowers or leaves, and then we would carry those, we would clean the leaf, remove the leaves, and then take them, throw them away. He also had a very big land. Like, he was a nice guy. He wasn't a bad guy, but he was a dictator in a way. But he was super nice. He was a teacher as well. So one morning I woke up and I was like, hey, do you know what? I'm done with this kind of life. Guess what I did? I ran away. Yeah. I think I don't prolong this video. I'm going to stop today at that. I'll do part two of this story, like continuation. If you're joining us for the first time, thank you so much for joining or being part of this family. Thank you so much for watching Beyond the Noise with Sam. Whoever who watches these videos, thank you so much. Whoever who is whoever who is watching, thank you so much. Whoever who tell us where you're watching us from, tell us what you think about the topics that we share here or what we discuss here, so that we get to know what you think about what we share or what we talk about here. So I was just looking at the remote to see whether because of good lighting. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching these episodes. Remember, like today's episode, we are talking about how a child is being raised in Africa. So I'm not comparing the two because I wasn't raised in the States. I was raised and born in Africa or in Uganda. So tell me what you think about the topics. Tell me what your opinion is on the episode two. I'll tell you how I left that village. And then when I went back in town, trust me, it was totally different and the life was different. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day, enjoy your evening, enjoy your afternoon, enjoy your life. Thank you. Have a good one.